What an adventure me and my brother went on yesterday. We went to a theater half an hour away from where we live to go see Roofman at 7 o'clock p.m. We get there, sit down in our theater seats. Screen's dark. 7 o'clock, 7:10, 7:15. We go ask the employees, hey, our theater isn't turned on. She says, yeah, that theater doesn't work. So you're telling me we bought the tickets to go see the movie and it doesn't work? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So we got a refund and we drove up another hour to our nearest IMAX theater to see Tron Ares in IMAX. I was going to see it this morning, but then again, I just ended up seeing it with my brother in IMAX last night, and we'll check out Roofman eventually to get a review out for you guys on that movie. But Tron Ares, movie I was really looking forward to, was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Actually, probably is my most anticipated movie of the remainder of the year after the summer movie season, because I thought the trailer looked awesome. I loved the score. I just thought it looked like a really fun sci-fi movie. And then the reviews came out and they were saying it was a bad movie and that the only good things about it were the visuals and the score. Well, I'll tell you what, I watched that trailer and the only thing that made me excited in that trailer was the visuals and the score. So that was pretty much a win for me. So I checked it out. I'll tell you my review here in this video. Before I do, if you would, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what are your opinions on Tron Ares if you have seen it. And if you haven't seen it, are you excited for Tron Ares? And what are your opinions on the other Tron films? And with that said, Tron Ares has great visuals and a fantastic score. Like I said in the intro, that's all I really wanted from the movie, so I didn't leave disappointed. The visuals in IMAX were great. I'll just tell you that. From the very first scene inside of the Tron game, I thought it looked really cool, and from then on, there are just cool visuals after cool visuals after cool visuals. Literally, I've never been in an IMAX theater where my seat was shaking, and that's because of the score as well. Nine Inch Nails did the score for this one. I thought it was a pretty incredible score. Was just bumping from the very first scene inside of the Tron game. Just makes this big noise, and it really never quite lets up. Like, we'll be walking, and we'll just have that cool score in the background. My brother said the score got a little repetitive. It really didn't feel repetitive for me, because I just really enjoyed that score, and I just really enjoyed listening to it. And that's something that just enhanced the experience, where I'm seeing cool spaceships and cool video game characters doing this cool stuff, and then I have that score in the background. Really made it for a cool experience in IMAX, and I am going to recommend you see this one in IMAX because it's shot for IMAX, and it looks really cool in IMAX. The cast here is solid. Now, I'm not going to say it was the best cast ever. The Jared Leto in here, I don't understand the hate that Jared Leto gets. I think he's fine. I don't think he's necessarily great in the movie, but he's okay in here. Greta Lee as our lead actress in the movie is solid. I don't think she's a very good physical actor, but her performance when she's not doing anything physical is quite good. And Evan Peters as our villain here, I had no idea he was in the movie, and he is quite good in this movie. The action sequences, like I said, saw it in IMAX, and I am just kind of a whore for stuff like this. Big visuals, big score, cool action sequences. I'm going to have a good time. And the action sequences aren't like the greatest action you'll ever see. It's not like the most reinventive sci-fi action you'll ever see. But it is cool action, and I had fun while watching the movie because of the score, the visuals, and the action. Combine all that together, that's what I wanted from the movie. I left the theater having a pretty good time with it. But it definitely could have been better. It definitely could have been way better. This is my introduction to the Tron franchise. I have never seen a Tron movie in my life besides this one, and so I have no idea what the criticisms of them were. And apparently the big criticism with the Tron franchise is it's very much a visual franchise that does not focus on story. Well, after seeing this one, that's very clear. I enjoyed the story for the first half of the movie. I was tracking along pretty well with it, but then as we get to the second half, the longer it goes, the less sense that the movie makes. And it's very easy to just flip a couple things around and make a much more interesting story, a much more smart story, and a story that makes a lot more sense instead of feeling a little bit convoluted. This third act, we enter parts where the story just goes really weird and does some things that don't make sense just so we can see cool visuals, I can forgive that because we saw cool visuals. Like, we shouldn't have had this giant spaceship in the movie because it didn't make sense, but God, was it cool in the movie? And so, watching the movie, I could forgive stuff like that, but upon thinking about it, you could have gone 100 different directions with the story, and you go this direction. This whole thing's about trying to find this code, and the movie gets quite dark near the end of the movie, but kind of like the Disney dark, if you know what I'm saying, where people die, there's death in here, but it also just feels like it's trying too hard to be a dark and gritty movie, where we'll have, like, Jared Leto sit in a car and talk about a 80s pop band, and then the very next scene, you got someone getting stabbed to death in front of their family member. It tries too hard to be dark, and as the movie goes on, I kind of felt the tones really conflicted with itself. The script here is just not the strongest in general. It tries too hard to be funny. There are quite often lines that make no sense. Near the end of the movie, Jared Leto flat out says a line like, I guess being alive in the world isn't immortal after all. Really? That's the best you can do to come up with that? And like I said, with the story, it kind of does stuff that doesn't quite make sense to progress the story along. The main story of this is about Jared Leto trying to find himself and become a human because he doesn't want to be a robot anymore. Well, all of a sudden, we get probably half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie, and it goes from a different plot to that plot all of a sudden, and it didn't quite make sense on the change that his character was going through. I've seen 100 different projects that's about the humanity and robots and can they be humans too. There's 100 movies out there, and this one tries to do it, and it has a couple of interesting ideas, but again, you could see a world that with better screenwriters, I feel like this movie could have been smarter and addressed more interesting ideas instead of just like that. And so with the script making things happen just so we can see cool stuff, having a story that doesn't quite make sense, and it gets way too convoluted the more the movie goes on. It's hard to explain, but the more I watched the movie, the less fun I was having until we got the cool visuals. The movie just starts to go all kinds of places, predictable things that you've seen in 100 different movies, and kind of gets, and I don't really want to say this, but kind of gets boring, in my personal opinion, at certain points. Again, at certain points. And then the very next sequence, you'll have a cool spaceship rise up in the air and it gets entertaining again. But when it's focusing on the story instead of the visuals, I've seen 100 different better sci-fi movies than this one. It's not like a negative that's really going to completely make me hate this movie, but you could easily, with a better screenwriter, write a movie that is better than this one. And so I found the movie entertaining. I enjoyed watching the movie, but the script, not good. And then the third act is kind of weird because it's kind of like we're in the midst of the battle between our heroes and the villains, and you think that it's going a completely different direction, and then all of a sudden, beep, stop the car, it's over. Like, all of a sudden, the battle ends. It doesn't feel satisfying the way that the climax ends, because it's something you've seen probably 100 different times before in different and better sci-fi movies. So, yet again, that's not something that made me hate the movie. My brother hated this movie. He did not like it at all. I had fun with it because of the visuals, the score, and some cool action sequences. It's an entertaining enough movie. I think if you'll go out and you're a casual watcher, you're going to be entertained. But my brother also said he was incredibly bored by the movie, and I just didn't get that. So maybe it's just kind of like a niche thing that if you like cool visuals and stuff like that, you're going to have fun. I like cool visuals. I had fun. Alright, before I give you my final score on Tron Ares, please make sure to subscribe, like button, hit the bell, and comment down below what are your opinions on the movie. And if you haven't seen it, what are your expectations for the movie, and what are your opinions on the other Tron movies? And with that said, Tron Ares, cool visuals, solid action, and an incredible score by Nine Inch Nails. But the story and script aren't necessarily the strongest. It's very much a Disney-ified movie. Like, it could have been so much cooler, but then it kind of felt like Disney was kind of stepping in here and there to try to implement themselves into the movie. It's fine. I enjoyed it. I walked out of the theater saying, yeah, I had a good time with it. But I don't think the general audience is going to love this one. Unless you love big, cool visuals, see it on the biggest screen possible. But if you're not really into that and you're more of a story guy, it's probably not going to be for you. With that said, Tron Ares, in my opinion, is going to get a B-, and I would recommend you see this one in the theater, unless you're more of a story guy and looking for some deep, niche sci-fi movie. That's not this. This is a movie for visuals and score, and that's what I wanted. That's what I got. But if you don't want that, it's not going to be for you. Thank you guys for clicking on the Tron Ares review. The next video is going to be a Peacemaker Season 2 review. And with that said, subscribe.